I need somebody.
No, it's mood.
Not
Oh,
just
this is good. You're good.
anybody. You know I need someone.
Welcome back to the Stockwell Eldridge Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
And I'm Dawn Eldridge with Remax Results.
And we've been hearing the story from Julie Jepson about Stepping Stone, which is a suburban homeless shelter, but does more than just the shelter that we normally would perceive or what we think of when we think of a homeless shelter. So what I'm hoping to get to this segment is about how we can help, other people can help that are not necessarily directly affiliated with Stepping Stone, and also sharing about the problem of affordable housing. So many of us, like I said, are fortunate enough we buy a house and we don't think about it. We don't even have to worry about it. Or we drive down the streets and we get on an exit ramp. We see someone standing there homeless, and we go through that thought goes through our head. Well, hey, should I help them? But I've been told that they could be scamming me, or I've been told that they're going to go out and buy drugs. What's going on there? And I know it's a small population, but they're definitely the ones that are truly just left behind. Like there's just so there's got to be some help for them, and that's what we're talking about with Stepping Stone. But what can people do to help? And also, what else is being done for affordable housing? Because, Nikki, you said there's some stuff that's being done for infill lots that are being done with modular and things like that for affordable housing. And I think now is the best time of year, I think you said, for that.
Yeah. So, I'm here just to sort of pull back a little bit here. I'm hearing a lot about stability and support, and I'm hearing a lot about understanding your choices. This is I know it's really hard to talk about from homelessness to home ownership, but there's a lot of connections there. And then obviously the affordability as well. So I just kind of wanted to pull back and call out a few things that I'm hearing on the show today. I think informed choice is critical in the type of properties you are thinking about purchasing. I think having a support system, whether you're homeless, trying to get to that, even out of Stepping Stone and into that first rental, there's a lot of support that needs to happen in the process. I think when you get together, I always appreciate being on your show because we're getting good information. You are talking about affordability. You're also talking about the $900,000 house. But there's a large range of opportunity for people to make consideration of stable housing. I think housing is an amazing investment, especially when you think about it long term for building wealth. So I get really passionate, particularly around clients and customers that are what we would call low and moderate income, so that 80% of area median income and less. Yep. And our area median income here in the metro is $85,500. So we're looking at incomes of
$85,500 is that
year,
a household?
Annual, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you're thinking
that's the median.
That's the area median. So you're thinking when you get about 68,000, at 80% area median income down to 52-ish for 50% area median income. I mean, that's a lot of our population, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, these are folks that have an ability. It takes them a long time to save up for a down payment, especially when they think they need a very large one, when in fact they don't. And I'm sure Steph's been on the show talking quite a bit about our Your First Mortgage. And with that product is we're really helping right now in our region that Steph and I are in. Over 40% of the people that are using that program are under 80% of area median income.
Really? Wow.
57% of them are opting into Framework, which is a online home buyer education. I've talked about Minnesota Home Ownership Center here. So again, hearing these themes. Now, choice. We talked about choice in different types of properties.
Yep.
So there's all of these vacant land in the city. What I'm seeing, because I've kept my ear to the ground pretty close in waiting for, we call it infill, right? The lots in the city.
Empty lots, yep.
Empty lots that need homes on them. And there's a lot of lots. And
in St. Paul and in Minneapolis.
Yep. There's stick-built, there's modular. Both of those are feasible on these lots. Modular is I'm seeing a resurgence of it, and there's a bit of a stigma that goes along with anything that's manufactured. But the truth is, manufactured housing is great, particularly modular. Really, it's just like stick built, except for parts of it are built in a factory and then brought to the lot,
Yep.
which does a few things, saves money, and then in terms of the construction, but then once it gets to the lot, it's going up much quicker. So there's that holding time that's where the cost is saved. It's making it more affordable. I'm praying that more of this continues to happen. And I'm hearing a lot of conversations, and I'm in meetings with some of these developers. Thor Construction has been a strong leader, building a couple modular homes on the north side of Minneapolis. But then now they're branching out, and others are getting wind and looking at other parts of the metro as well. And so it's exciting to me because that new construction, these permits you're talking about, many of those homes, and this is a national issue, not just an issue here, many of those permits are for, the little bit upper end, like probably $300,000 and more. And
Yeah.
so we think about this large population that we have that's at around 68,000 or even 48,000, 38,000 who have stable jobs, stable income, pay their bills. How are we going to help them find a home? I hope that next year when we have this conversation about permits that are being pulled, that some of those permits are going to be directed for new construction that is affordable, because we need that new construction to move some of that, just to sort of get things going so that we don't have this shortage of inventory that we saw during the summer.
Yep, I agree. And it is true that new construction cost, if you're buying if you're doing new construction in the suburbs, it's very difficult after the lot cost and the permitting and the building and,
Right.
and the stick-built construction to get under 400,000. It's just very difficult because there's so much that goes into it. And then even if you get the lot for free,
Yeah.
you're almost still looking at 300. It's very difficult to get under 300,000 for a decent home. We're not talking all the bells and whistles either. We're just talking a decent home to get under 300,000 is very difficult because of the sheer cost. And that modular, I think they do them up in Detroit Lakes, and then one factory is in Detroit Lakes, and they semi them down. And I got to see one, and they are built solid.
Amazing.
They're solid.
You would
solid.
never know.
Everybody has a perception that they're going to get blown over with the first strong wind.
No.
They're built to code, folks. They build them to the construction code. It doesn't mean that they can slack on any of the issues that are the code that's required for new construction.
Right.
So Julie, Dawn, I think you had some questions, and also I did one about how people can help, but I know Dawn had some.
Sure. So I'm curious, what is the average amount of staying time
Sure.
in the program?
Sure. So we have residents that stay from one night to over a year, depending on their needs. A lot of times, if a person has a mental health issue, they need to be diagnosed with it and then be considered chronically homeless so that they can get permanent supportive housing, because it's one of those situations where they're never going to be able to work, and it's much more cost effective for taxpayers to support them that way than to keep them on the street. And one of the requirements by the state, if not by HUD, I believe, is that they are documented homeless, living in a homeless shelter for over a year. Or have a certain chunks of homeless
in order
time.
to get into, because my mind immediately, maybe you're listening, if you're listening out there, and my mind goes instantly to movies that I've seen where individuals that have mental health issues go into a psych ward and they're wearing white and they're in these rooms and it's a concrete building and they're treated poorly. What goes on? Is that stuff? How does it done now? You know what I mean? Like if some of these individuals maybe if they have mental health issues, they're homeless for a year, they meet their criteria, and then where do they go?
So then there's some housing that's available to them. There's there's organizations who we work with that have that permanent supportive type of housing.
But is it like it was in the movie? I mean, it sounds like it was in the movies in the 70s and stuff like that.
All those institutions, including the location where we are right now, has been decentralized.
Okay.
So the straitjackets, all that horribly awful sounding stuff no longer is in existence. However, there is the Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center, which is where the old state hospital used to be. They just built a new facility.
Okay.
New I say, must be 10 years now. Just across the parking lot from us, where they help them, and that's kind of institutionalized.
Okay.
But I mean, that goes into a whole nother.
Yeah, I know. I'm just curious because that's what you're based on what I've seen. You know, when you see this, your head go. That's where my thought goes right to that. Like, where do they go?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
But
But nowadays, you know, there isn't anywhere for them to go. It takes so long to get into psychologists, so long to get into psychiatrists, that those barriers that you and I could wait for, deal with, handle, knowing who to call and going through the system is fine for us to do, but someone who has significant barriers and lack of support and lack of knowing how to work with the system, it's very, very challenging. So it's so challenging they just don't get help.
Wow. That's
Yeah, that's so that when we get back, we're going to talk about how we can help and what anybody else can do potentially for Stepping Stone, and then what maybe some success stories too of getting through. If I know Nikki said maybe getting from homeless to getting a rental, and maybe moving forward into that, like the movie with Will Smith, which I thought was great.
Pursuit to Happiness.
Yes, I love that one. But anyway, we'll be back with more. You're listening to the Stockwell Eldridge Show.
Oh,